Hi, and welcome to this gentle flowing yoga practice. I encourage you to listen to your body today and to find the place in each pose that feels best for your body in that moment, making any adjustments or modifications to a pose so that it feels right for your body today. For this practice, we'll need a mat, a couple of blocks, 1 or 2 blocks if we have them, and maybe a blanket. So let's go ahead and get started. Just sitting comfortably, whatever that means to you. So maybe the legs are crossed. Maybe the soles of the feet are together. Maybe one leg is in, one leg is out. Maybe both legs are straight out in front. Just whatever feels right for your body. Sometimes sitting up on a blanket or a couple of blocks, or even if you have 2, an extra rolled up yoga mat can just give a little extra space. Just to open up through the hips to find that length in the spine. So giving yourself permission to use those props so your body feels best during your practice. As we come to seated comfortably and tall, drawing the abdominals in towards the spine to support the spine as we roll the shoulders back and down, lifting tall through the crown of the head. We can close our eyes here and just begin to notice our breath. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. A calming breath. Noticing where the breath is in the body. If it's not already, beginning to notice the breath in the belly. Feeling the belly rise as we inhale, feeling the belly fall as we exhale. As we exhale, letting go of any busyness in our day, any distractions. Inhaling a sense of peace and calm. Exhaling disappointments, frustrations. And inhaling acceptance and gratitude. Letting go of judgments, expectations. Breathing in grace. Continuing our deep breaths. Beginning to move our body gently with our breath, just starting with a torso rotation. Rotating in a little bit of a circle, getting the body started, letting it just find its own path. Maybe it's a small, slow circle. Maybe it's a little bit bigger. And maybe a little bit faster, but really taking our time. As we get our bodies started and see where they end up, that rotation may be a little more of an oval, maybe again, a bigger circle, a smaller circle, may even feel like side to side, and all these are fine. This rocking motion, just soothing, relaxing. And noticing what we feel as we begin to move. Physical sensations in our body, any tightness or stiffness. And also being aware of any thoughts that cross our mind now or that drift in and out during our practice. As they do, and they will, just acknowledging them and then deciding to set them aside. We can address them later if we'd like to, or maybe not. Let's go one more time this direction, and then we'll change the direction of our circle. Noticing what we feel as we move this way. being in no hurry. Once or twice more this direction. Come back to the center when we're finished, just sitting tall. Let's roll our shoulders up by our ears and down and back a few times. Breathing in, breathing out. And relaxing the arms down by our sides, shaking them out a little bit. On our next inhale, let's sweep our hands overhead, bringing the palms together and exhaling, letting them float back down by our sides. Inhaling overhead, exhaling back down. Finding our own pace as we move with our breath, intentionally and slowly, aware of what we feel. Feeling the breath in the body, that breath our anchor to the present moment. As and if our minds start to wander, we can always notice that and then bring our attention back to our breath. Our breath always happening right now. Let's add a spinal rotation, our next exhale. So inhaling to the center once again. As we exhale, beginning to rotate from the navel up the length of the spine, one arm gently towards the front, one towards the back. Inhaling to the center and exhaling the other way. Taking our time. Only a range of motion that feels good for our body, nothing forced, no pulling. Just the muscles in the trunk allowing for that rotation, gently warming there. Come back to the center, inhaling overhead. And exhaling, arms down by our sides. Ahead and make our way to our hands and knees for cat and cow. So we can move the blanket if we have one. And just come into hands and knees, our wrists right below our shoulders, our knees right below our hips. Letting the fingers spread wide, pressing through every knuckle in our hands and the tops of our feet resting on the floor, also feeling as if we're pushing the floor away through the palms, through the fingers, through the tops of the feet. Lengthening the spine here, drawing the abdominals in towards the spine. And as we inhale, gently dropping the belly, swaying the back, looking forward. Exhaling, tucking the chin to the chest, rounding the back as we lift into cat. Inhaling cow and exhaling cat, finding our own breath, moving at our own pace. Enjoying that movement the entire length of the spine. One more time through each. We'll come back to a neutral spine when we're finished. And as we exhale, sitting back into child's pose, extending the fingertips forward, resting the forehead on the floor. We can always widen our knees in our child's pose to create a little more space for the hips. From child's pose, on our next inhale, moving forward to a kneeling plank. As we inhale forward, engaging through the core, strong through the back, strong through the glutes, Our shoulders coming about to our fingertips and having a straight line from the crown of our head to our tailbone. As we exhale, sitting back into child's pose. Inhaling forward into plank and keeping those hips in line with the shoulders. It's okay if they're not in a straight line from knees to shoulders. Think more about tailbone through the crown of the head. Exhaling back into child's pose, inhaling forward into plank. We can keep flowing child's pose plank here, or we can add in a crocodile push-up, keeping the hips right where they are, lowering the chest towards the floor just as far as we're able to press back up. Then sitting back into child's pose. Inhaling forward into plank. Option for crocodile or just back to child's pose. We can come as low as 90 degrees, but no lower. Pressing back to plank and sitting back to child's pose. Inhaling forward. Elbows squeezing by our sides, lowering crocodile. Inhaling up. Exhaling back. And with the options that we have, we can add a crocodile maybe every other time. Or maybe we can do 2 or 3 of them and then just go to plank, coming back to crocodile if we'd like to, or just taking it out completely. We can even just spend time in child's pose. We'll take 1 or 2 more deep breaths flowing through these poses. And we'll all meet back in child's pose when we're finished. As we come into child's pose, just finding some stillness here and sitting in that stillness for a moment. As we inhale to our hands and our knees, spreading our fingers wide and lifting into downward dog, curling our toes under, hips lifting up towards the sky, a little bit of a bend still in our knees and finding length from the fingertips up through the tailbone, our head resting right between our biceps. We can pedal our feet here in our downward dog if we'd like to, just getting some movement through the hips and through the knees, through the ankles. And then reaching both heels evenly towards the floor, lengthening the spine. Big steps or small, walking our feet up toward our hands, coming to a forward fold. In our forward fold, glancing at our feet, they're hips width apart. Our knees are bent. We can have our hands resting on a block if we'd like to. If we don't have a block, we can rest our hands on our shins, our forearms on our thighs as we let the upper body just hang towards the floor. That block or the support of our legs, hands on the legs somewhere, helps to support the lower back. Bending through the knees does as well. And feeling as if our belly is just resting on our thighs. From our forward fold as we inhale, bending the knees, lengthening the spine, reverse swan diving all the way up. Exhaling into mountain pose, standing tall and steady. In mountain pose, our feet are hips width apart, grounding into the 4 corners of each of our feet, drawing the abdominals in towards the spine as the shoulders roll back and down, and lifting tall through the crown of the head. We can close our eyes in mountain if that's comfortable, and just begin to notice our breath once again. As we inhale, sweeping our hands overhead, exhaling into chair pose, hands to heart center as we sit back into chair. Inhaling overhead, exhaling chair. Option to change up the arms if we'd like to sweep them around in front, or we can keep them close to the body, just whatever feels right for us today. flow twice more with our breath. Coming back into mountain pose when we're finished. Stepping to the short side of our mat. Mountain pose here. Let's take a step back with the left foot for warrior one. Our feet are about hips width apart, so our heels are about hips width apart. It's just a smallish, kind of a casual step back. The toes on the front foot are facing the short side of our mat, and the back leg is straight and strong with those toes angled kind of towards the corner of the front edge of our mat. We can inhale our arms overhead in warrior one, dropping the shoulders low, always having the option to soften the elbows. Pressing into the four corners of each of our feet, lifting us off of our mat, pressing against our mat, feeling ourselves lifting tall. Warrior one. As we inhale, straightening the front knee, reaching tall. Exhaling, hinging forward into pyramid. Hands can rest on the thigh, maybe come down to the shin. If we have blocks, we can bring them to either side of the front foot, or if we want a little more height, we can even stack our blocks up inside the big toe, the opposite hand resting on the thigh or on the shin. Thinking about creating length in the spine, so from the tailbone through the crown of the head. Really creating that length. Stretching through the entire back of the front leg, all the way from the hips down to the heel. Let's bend the front knee, lifting back to warrior one. Deep breath in, exhaling down, stepping forward, mountain pose. A few breaths here. Stepping back with the right foot, the opposite foot back for warrior one, hips and shoulders facing the short side of our mat, pressing into our feet, lengthening the spine as we inhale, arms overhead. Strong through both feet, lifted tall. As we inhale, straightening the front knee, exhaling, hinging forward from the hips, coming into pyramid. Again, hands to the thigh, the shins, maybe stacking our blocks. And after a few breaths, if we sink a little deeper, maybe blocks to either side of the front foot. Lengthening the spine, tailbone to crown. Let's bend the front knee, lifting back to warrior one. Taking a deep breath in, exhaling all the way down, and stepping forward to mountain pose. As we inhale, arms overhead, exhaling, forward fold.
Shaking our head gently, yes and no, letting go of any tension. Hands to either side of our feet, stepping back with the right foot. We'll keep the left foot where it is, spiraling that back foot down. So a longer step back now than our warrior one. Walking our hands up and opening up to the long side of our mat, warrior two. Arms at shoulder height, reaching through the fingertips, dropping our shoulders low, and pressing into the four corners of our feet, firmly, actively grounding into the earth and relaxing our toes. As we move into reverse warrior, flipping the front palm, dropping the back hand, lifting and lengthening the side body in reverse warrior, glancing down at our big toe or up at the top hand, finding what feels right for us. As we inhale, coming back to warrior two.
Moving into side angle, reaching forward, bringing the forearm to rest on the thigh, the top arm up towards the sky. Again, gazing up, gazing down, maybe straight ahead. Inhaling back to warrior two. Taking one more deep breath. Let's release those arms down, straightening the legs. Let's just walk our feet around, bringing our toes to the short side, the opposite short side of our mat. That front knee bent, back leg straight, arms out to shoulder height, warrior two, facing the other way. Flipping the front palm, dropping the backhand, lifting, reverse warrior, lengthening the side body. Inhaling, warrior two. Side angle, reaching forward, bringing the forearm to rest on the thigh, the top arm up towards the sky. Strong through both feet, lifting, opening across the front of the body, strengthening across the back. Inhaling back to warrior two. One more deep breath. Let's inhale overhead and exhaling arms down. Shaking the arms out. Let's just walk our feet heel toe, walking them back to hips width. Back to mountain pose. Steady in mountain, our feet hips width. Lifting tall through the crown of the head. As we move into tree pose, focusing our gaze on a point in the distance, something that's not going to move. We begin with an inhale, sweeping arms overhead, exhaling, hands to our hearts as we just start to shift our weight. Finding where our tree pose is today. Maybe we have a kickstand toe. Maybe our foot comes to ankle or calf. Just avoiding the knee. Lifting tall out of the standing leg, engaging through the center of the body, drawing the abdominals in and coming in and out anytime. Let's take one or two more deep breaths. As we come back to mountain pose, just kind of shaking that out mentally and physically, letting it go. And then as we inhale, arms overhead. Exhaling, hands to our hearts. And finding tree pose on this side, wherever it is today. We'll take a few more breaths in tree. Coming out whenever we're ready. Back to mountain pose, a few deep breaths here. As we open our eyes, taking a step back towards the short side of our mat so we have some room to step back. We'll take a deep breath in, arms overhead, exhaling, folding forward, hinging from our hips, swan diving, forward fold.
Again, support ourselves with our hands on our blocks or shins or thighs. Let's bring our hands to the floor, stepping back with the left foot and then the right foot, downward facing dog. One last big back body stretch. down to our knees. Coming around to seated.
And then taking our time to slowly lower ourselves down lengthwise on our mats. Maybe bringing our blocks near us so we have them in case we need them when we're there. As we slowly roll down, we can hug our knees into our chest, maybe holding behind the thighs as we roll ourselves down. If it feels good for our bodies, we can gently rock side to side. And we can bring our feet flat to the floor. Setting up for butterfly pose, so bringing the soles of our feet together, letting your knees gently fall out to each side. We may find that this is a little too much to let the hips relax. So if we feel a lot of tension, if we feel a lot of bouncing, just if we feel like we can't relax into this pose, maybe placing blocks under the knees can be helpful, even if just at first. Sometimes that support is all we need to be able to let go. Arms can be out by our sides. We can close our eyes and just notice our breath here. Relaxing through the whole body. Resting the forehead and the eyes, the face and the jaw. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. Very gently bringing the knees back to the center, the soles of the feet on the floor. Breathing in as we exhale, slowly lowering both knees to one side. Letting the knees come to rest on the floor. If one of our shoulders peels up, that's okay. We can place a block if we'd like to under the bottom knee, or maybe even between the knees. If that gives us a little support, once again, to let the lower back relax, to let go. Relaxing through the top leg and the bottom leg, through both hips, through the back and the shoulders. We'll take 2 more deep breaths. And then gently bring in the knees to the center. Taking our time as we exhale, slowly lowering them the other way. Using a block if we'd like to, under the knees or between the thighs. Taking 2 more deep breaths. And then very gently bringing the knees back into the center. Straightening our legs out lengthwise, shaking them out. As we get ready for Shavasana, our final relaxation. Making any last movements, adjustments, any last poses or stretches we may want to do before coming into our final relaxation pose. Arms out by our sides, we can just relax through the hips, letting the legs relax and the feet flop out to the sides.
this feels like there's a little bit of pressure on our lower back, we can bend our knees, our feet kind of wide on our mat, letting our knees fall in towards one another, just to release the back some. Just finding a place wherever your body can rest. Complete stillness, no effort. Let's take 3 more deep breaths. And then gently beginning to move our fingers and our toes, bringing awareness back to our physical bodies. Taking our time to gently roll onto our side, coming into a fetal pose. Resting our head in our hands, gently allowing our bodies to awaken. And then carefully pressing ourselves up to seated, using the hands to help. Coming to seated comfortably and tall, and taking just a moment here to reflect on our yoga practice. Grateful for these bodies that we have, and thankful for them exactly where they are today. Grateful that we made this time for ourselves today to do something good for our bodies, good for our minds, something that's just for us. Once more, as we inhale, sweeping our hands overhead, bringing our palms together, exhaling our hands to our hearts. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste.